Have you ever loved someone so much that you started to lose pieces of who you are? Have you ever believed that staying silent, sacrificing, or compromising was the way to keep a relationship, only to realize the price you paid was your own self-respect? In today's video, we're diving into two stories that will make you question everything. What is love really? And when is it time to stop fighting for someone else and start fighting for yourself? One man who was belittled by his wife for his passion until the day he finally spoke up. And one woman who was blackmailed by her ex with private photos only to realize what he awakened wasn't fear, but the kind of resistance no one sees coming. These aren't just Reddit stories. They're wake-up calls. They're raw truths. They're those pivotal moments when you have to decide, keep shrinking, or become someone no one can control. To story one. My wife destroyed my Star Wars collection, and I stopped being the good husband. I never thought a stormtrooper figure would be the reason I filed for divorce. I'm the kind of guy you'd call harmless. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't cheat, and I don't gamble. I show up to work on time, pay the electric bill, walk the dog, mow the lawn, and always ask my wife what she wants to eat on Saturdays. I'm also a bit annoyingly obsessed with Star Wars. I'm 31. My wife, now ex-wife, is 6 years older than me. We met at a book conference. I was reading Thrawn, and she was a speaker ranting about how men hide in fantasy worlds to avoid growing up. I should have run, but I didn't. I laughed and said, "At least we're not trying to erase people's passions and pretend it's still the 1950s. She laughed too, and we fell in love. Simple as that. At first, she thought my hobby was cute. I had one little shelf, Luke, Vader, Han Solo, and Leia. A Lego Death Star dangling from the ceiling like a tiny moon. A few lightsabers hanging on the wall. As long as it doesn't spill into the living room, she said. I honored that, because I believed love meant compromise. I boxed up my Pokemon cards, packed away my Gundams, locked my rare trading cards in a storage cabinet. I only kept the pieces that meant the most to me. But that boundary kept shifting. First, she told me not to wear Star Wars shirts when we went out with her friends. It makes you look childish, she said. You don't want my friends thinking I married a 15-year-old, do you? I laughed. Changed into a button-up. No big deal. Still fine. Then she banned video games after 9 p.m. Then I wasn't allowed to build Lego sets in my office while she was home because the sound gave her a headache. Then came the kicker. Why don't you try being an adult and sell all that plastic junk? So I started hiding, like an addict. I kept a switch in my desk drawer. I built Lego in the back seat of my car after work. I browsed eBay in incognito mode, set alarms to grab limited editions at 2 a.m., and had them shipped to the post office instead of home. I know, it sounds ridiculous, but I was trying. I never blew our budget. I never chose toys over her. I never prioritized my hobbies over my marriage. I just needed something for myself. Everything exploded on a random Tuesday night. I got home late, opened my office door, and it was empty. Not cleaned, wrecked. Leia split in half. Luke's lightsaber snapped off. Funko Pop boxes crushed like soda cans. The Lego Death Star obliterated. Smashed with, I'm not kidding, a cast iron skillet. And in the middle of the floor, one sticky note. It's time to grow up. Don't bother looking for them. I took care of it. Your wife. I just sat there, in the freezing silence. I thought I'd cry, but I didn't. I felt nothing. You know that moment when love dies, when your heart doesn't break, it just goes still. That was it. That was the moment I realized she never wanted to understand me. She wanted to edit me, mold me, erase the parts she didn't like until I wasn't even me anymore. I got up, quietly, packed a small bag. No shouting, no fighting. I just walked out. She called me the next morning. What are you doing? It's just toys. I didn't respond. She cried, she apologized, She said she did it for my own good because she was afraid I'd be a bad father someday, that a real man should focus on his career, not plastic figurines. I asked, "So you want our future kid to grow up thinking that anything they love is childish and should be destroyed?" She went silent. I hired a lawyer, filed for divorce a week later. She offered me $5,000 in compensation. I refused. Not because I didn't need the money, some of those pieces were rare out of production since 2012. I refused because she never understood why I was hurt. She thought the pain was about lost property. It wasn't. The pain was realizing the person I married saw me as something to be corrected. 2 years later, I live alone. Haven't dated since. I've bought back a few collectibles, rebuilt my shelf. I game every night. I eat pizza in my Star Wars pajamas. I even started a blog, shared my story. A toy company sent me a free collection after reading it. One day I got an email from my ex-wife. 5 words: "I read your blog post." I replied with 3, "Too late now." If you've ever had to erase yourself just to keep a relationship alive, maybe it wasn't love. Maybe it was control. Story 2. My husband got rich overnight, then wanted me to be his pretty decoration. He said to me, "You don't have to work anymore." Sounds romantic, right? Until I realized he didn't want a wife. He wanted a smiling accessory. I used to think marrying a rich man was the dream, until I realized it felt more like winning the lottery, only to find out the ticket was cursed. My name is Amy. I'm 30. I met my husband, or more accurately, my soon-to-be ex-husband, when I was 24. He was 8 years older, a software engineer with a decent job, soft smile, worn-out shirts, and the kind of guy your mom would love at first sight. I liked him. We fell in love the simple way: late-night movies, midnight pho, runs, splitting rent. I was a part-time yoga instructor and ran a small online clothing shop. Not some million-dollar startup, but it was mine. Built from scratch. And I was proud of it. He used to say, "I love how independent you are." Oh, if only I had known what that really meant. Everything changed when he sold his shares in a tech project. It was a sudden acquisition no one saw coming. Overnight, he became a millionaire. Not lottery money, intellectual property money. I was genuinely happy for him. Proud even. Like I had written the code myself. He bought a new house, big, fancy, with a mini golf room in the basement, a Pinterest-style open kitchen, and a Japanese bidet that sprayed warm water. I paused my online shop for a while to move, decorate, learn how to use the robot vacuum. Then he said, "You don't need to work so hard anymore." I blinked. At first I thought, maybe he was just trying to spoil me. So I asked, "Wait, are you saying I should quit for good?" He smiled softly. "Think about it. Rich women don't teach yoga or sell dresses. You should just enjoy life." That sentence, that was the beginning. I tried to enjoy life. Went to spas with rich wives I didn't even know. Sipped $5 matcha with a woman who spoke 7 languages, but hated cats. It wasn't me. I missed the hustle. I missed packaging orders, dealing with customers, going live to show new pieces. I missed the feeling of buying something with money I earned. When I told him I wanted to reopen my shop, he went quiet. Then one evening, I was testing new fabric samples in my office, a tiny corner I'd set up on the 3rd floor. He walked in, looked around, frowned. "I thought you were cooking dinner tonight. You're still busy with this." I said, "I have a work schedule planned. We can just order in tonight." He sighed, didn't say a word. But the next day, things started happening. My shop account got flagged for payment issues. Facebook ads were shut down for policy violations. My vendor told me orders were delayed due to client-side requests. Then I checked my email, a wave of refund requests from complete strangers. And when I investigated further, the person behind the complaints was my husband. I confronted him. He didn't deny it. He just sat there coldly and said, "I'm protecting you from your own stress." I stayed silent. He continued, "You don't have to prove anything anymore. You're my wife. You're beautiful, smart, Now just live like a lady. Let me handle everything else." I didn't recognize the man sitting in front of me. The next week, he bought plane tickets for me and his mother, a detox trip to Bali. I refused. That was the first time he raised his voice. "You're disrespecting my care for you." And that's when I knew this wasn't affection. This was control wrapped in silk. So I reopened my shop, but this time new platform, separate account, different company name. I hid everything from him, and it worked. My store grew even more than before. When he found out, he snapped. He smashed my laptop, threw a pair of shoes I'd just imported into the toilet, and then he said something I'll never forget. "You're nothing but a shadow living off my money. Don't ever forget that." I packed my things. No tears. I moved out into a tiny apartment. No view. No fancy toilet. But I had my laptop, my sewing machine, pending orders, and emails from customers thanking me. I had myself. 6 months later, I got a letter from his lawyer. He wants to reconcile, it said. He's willing to cover all expenses if you'll just come back and shut down the business that risks the family's reputation. I sent him just one thing in return, a photo of me smiling wide, standing next to the logo of my brand new shop. With the caption, "I'm not software you can rewrite." If someone claims to love you but tries to erase who you really are, that's not love. That's ownership. After hearing these two stories, what do you think? Does love really require us to sacrifice our passions, our privacy, even our dignity? Or maybe those very boundaries are how we discover who's truly worthy of staying in our lives. If you've ever been in a similar situation, mocked for your interests, emotionally manipulated, or paid the price for trusting the wrong person, share your story in the comments. Because here at Reddit Echoes, we don't just tell stories. We relive the pain, the awakening, and the satisfaction when the ones who hurt us finally get what they deserve. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because there are so many more stories waiting to be heard. And now, we'll see you in the next video on Reddit Echoes, where every echo begins with a truth no one dared to speak.